rebounding. Got to get it in. Does to Smith. Jabari for three and the win. Yeah! He got it.
We are here to fuel your Rocks News. It's Rocks Fuel Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Lashard Binkley. You can always find me on at Twitter, X, at Binkley Hoops. You can find all my written work over at Rockets on SI, which is part of Sports Illustrated Network. And, of course, we are sponsored by the Believe Network, so definitely make sure you check out all the audio podcasts over on the Believe website under Rocket Fuel Podcast. And on today's show, I just want to give a quick breakdown, quick reaction to the news that just dropped probably like an hour ago. Shams Charania from ESPN reported that Kevin Durant will be missing the next 2 games due to personal reasons. Now, of course, I don't speculate on what those reasons are because I don't know for sure. And if I did, I don't know if I necessarily would say anything because anytime somebody says personal reason has absolutely nothing to do with basketball. So that's not my place to say or speculate on why he's missing those games. All you can do is just wish the best and hopefully everything's okay with him and his family. But when it comes to the on-court part of it, he is scheduled to miss tomorrow's game against the Phoenix Suns and a Wednesday game against the Golden State Warriors. And, of course, the Rockets are coming off a loss this past Friday to the Denver Nuggets, a hard-fought loss where they had their chances, just couldn't pull it out in the end. Too many mistakes down the stretch. Denver just made more winning plays down the stretch, and the Rockets' 5-game winning streak came to an end. They're now sit at 10-4 on the season. And like I said, their next game is tomorrow at Phoenix. I think another late game, another prime game. So it won't be on Space City Network, unfortunately. It'll only be on Prime. So that will be tomorrow's game. But on today's show, I just want to kind of give a quick reaction to it and kind of say what I think may happen in the next 2 games, who may play, what areas that the Rockets may actually be better in without Kevin Durant. Not to say that they're better without Kevin Durant because they're not better without him, but there are some areas where they can or probably will improve in the next couple of games now that they will have a different lineup on the court and won't have Kevin Durant for the first time the entire season. It's actually kind of funny if you go all the way back. Jalen Green had played the previous 2.5+ seasons straight. So this will actually be the first game the Rockets will be playing without Jalen Green or Kevin Durant, if you look at it that way. But like I said, I just kind of wanted to first, start off with what lineup I think they'll go with, at least to start the game. I definitely think, especially as well as Reed Shepherd has played over the last several games, that he will probably move into the starting lineup. They'll have a more traditional starting lineup with Reed and Amen in the backcourt. Probably you have to think that more than likely Josh Okogie moves into play small forward. And then you will have Jabari and Alperensengun. And the only reason I say that because I know they started double big the last 2 games, but Phoenix doesn't really employ that type of starting lineup with their front court. So I have to believe the Rockets will go with a more traditional starting lineup in the next game with Reed Shepherd probably coming into the starting lineup and then Josh Okogie moving back in and probably move Steven Adams back to the bench. So if I had to guess, I would say that would probably be the starting lineup for the upcoming next game. But again, we won't probably know for sure until shoot around, if they have a shoot around tomorrow. Sometimes they don't have shoot arounds. At the very least, it'll be pregame before we find out exactly what the starting lineup will be. But if I had my preference, I would probably say that's the lineup I probably would go with. You can have Reed at the point guard or Ahmed at the point guard. It really doesn't matter. They're kind of interchangeable because at the end of the day, Alperensengun is the one usually having the ball majority of the time anyway. So it really doesn't matter who's playing point guard and who doesn't. But I would have to imagine they move Reed into that starting lineup because, like I said, he helps spread the floor. He helps speed up the game. He's been one of the Rockets, if not the Rockets' best shooters. He's coming off a career-high 27 points last game against Denver. So you factor all them things in, you have to imagine that, like I said, Reed will move into that starting lineup for tomorrow's game and possibly even Wednesday game against Golden State because Kevin Durant will be out that game as well. And then from there, you got to figure, okay, who's going to be playing more minutes off the bench now than Kevin Durant because Durant was playing 34, 35 minutes a game. So you have to make up for the minutes somewhere. Now, if I had to guess, I would probably say Jayshawn Tate is probably going to play some of the minutes. I know how some of y'all feel about Tate, but at the end of the day, he's back. The Rockets do trust him out on the court, and he's more of a small forward, power forward type player. So I have to imagine he's going to take up some of the minutes. We're probably going to see Jeff Green who we haven't really seen much at all besides garbage time this year. I actually think he's going to get more time, actually part of the regular rotation in the next couple of games. So after, Aaron Holiday was already playing more minutes anyway because of the injury to Tari Eason. So he's already going to play another 20 plus minutes. So now you're probably going to see more of Jeff Green moving into that rotation. And also, like I said, Jay Sean Tate. So those are probably the two guys, if I had to guess, that will probably gain the most minutes from Kevin Durant being out the next couple of games. Another thing I kind of wanted to talk about was, yes, you're going to miss Kevin Durant, elite mid-range shooter. You're going to miss the gravity that he draws on the defensive end where they're having to constantly worry about what he's going to do, sometimes double teaming him, which opens up the lanes for other guys. You're going to miss all those things, but there is some areas that I think the Rockets will be a little bit better at than they have been this season with Kevin Durant in the lineup. And one of those areas is pace. The Rockets are the fourth slowest pace team in the NBA, which up to this point, they're 10-4. It's worked for them pretty well, but they are one of these slower teams in the entire NBA. They're like I said, they're ranked 27th in pace on the season. A lot of that has to do with, when you have a Kevin Durant on your team, you're going to probably be a slower team. You're not going to have as many fast breaks. You're going to operate more in the mid range. You're not going to have many possessions where you're coming down and you're shooting within 2 or 3 seconds of the shot clock. That's not just something most teams do, especially with Kevin Durant at 37 years old. And that's something that the Rockets have really slowed down their pace this year. When Jalen Green was here, that's something they talked about a lot, was increasing their pace. And then when you bring in one of the best mid-range shooters of all time, you're naturally going to slow down your team. That's exactly what the Rockets have done this season. Like I said, they ranked 27th in pace so far this season. And if you look at it even further, when you talk about average speed on the offensive end, the Rockets are dead last in offensive speed. And they're actually dead last by a pretty good margin. If you look at the actual numbers, they're, like I said, they rank last in overall average speed. They're one of the slowest teams, also the defensive end as well, which some of that has to do with them playing zone. They cover the less distance on defense. Again, it has to do with them playing zone. So I think more with a more traditional lineup, you won't see that zone as much as well because usually you only see it when they're playing that jumbo lineup or a double big. But now with Kevin Durant out, if you go to a more traditional lineup, you'll see the Rockets playing more man-to-man, more switching. And also you'll see the Rockets actually pick up the pace as far as fast break points because right now the Rockets are like a middle-of-the-road team when it comes to fast break points. So I think you put Reed Shepherd into the starting lineup, you have Josh Okogie in the starting lineup, you're going to see the Rockets push up that pace even more because anytime you in these last games where you see Reed Shepherd, he is not hesitating. He gets up and down the court. He's pulling up on fast breaks. He's pulling up whether he has Alperen Sengun and Kevin Durant on one side. Doesn't matter. He's pulling up and he's shooting a three-pointer with confidence, which means that they're getting down the court in 3 or 4 or 5 seconds and they're getting up a shot fairly quickly. So I have to imagine that their pace is going to increase. Their just overall speed is going to increase because now you're putting in Reed Shepherd, who's in his second season in for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant because Reed Shepherd kind of thrives on the higher, faster pace. I actually think you'll see a better Amen Thompson because a lot of times it seems like he's been deferring to Alperen and deferring to Kevin Durant or more hesitant when he's driving to the basket. Like I asked MA last game, what was the difference between first half and second half? And he said that Amen started actually looking for a shot instead of going into the paint looking to pass. He was actually going in there and looking to shoot and not predetermining what he was doing. And I think now that you kind of sort of back to where it was last year, even though Jalen Green's not here, but it's really going to be Amen. It's going to be Alpe. It's going to be kind of your two main guys along with, with Reed Shepherd and Jabari. But now Amen's going to have even more opportunities. And I think the running at a faster pace is going to help them in these games. And I think you're going to see a much better Amen Thompson from the start of the game to the end of the game. So I think that's one of the other things that's going to really stand out in the next couple of games. The Rockets are just going to be a much faster team. They're going to play at a much faster pace. And also, I think they're going to give them a lot more threes. It's kind of some of the things I mentioned, reason why they're going to have a faster pace. I think they're going to give a lot more threes. Because like I said, when you have a Kevin Durant, you're shooting a lot more mid-range shots. You're going later into the shot clock. But now you put in Reed, you put in Josh. I think that they're going to be playing exclusively through Alperen Sengun. And they're going to be having a lot more opportunities. And especially when you get up into the fast break a lot more often, you have a lot more opportunities to get three-pointers on the break. something that the Rockets really haven't done a lot this season, because right now the Rockets rank dead last in 3-point attempts per game. Actually, in 3-point attempts per game, Rockets are last in the NBA. Really efficient, don't get me wrong. They're one of the most efficient teams in the NBA. They lead the NBA in 3-point percentage. But as far as volume, they haven't really been getting up a lot of 3-point shots. But I think that changes in these next couple of games, with the Rockets playing at a faster pace and having players on the court that can actually get up and down the court a lot more than the starters that they've had for a majority of the season. Because either been Kevin Durant's been in every single lineup, and then sometimes they're going with the jumbo lineup, so you're going even slower when Steven Adams is in there. Of course, Steven Adams is been remarkable all season, but I mean, it is what it is. When they're in the lineup together, you're going to have one of these slowest teams in the NBA. And now you go back to that more traditional lineup, at least in the next couple of games, and you should see a much faster paced Rockets team. So that's one thing that can definitely, stand out and help the Rockets. But overall, of course, losing to Kevin Durant for 2 games is, definitely devastating. But I think the Rockets can at least take some solace in that they may be playing a different type of game, and that may at least help them in the short term, because you can always, in the short term, make up for losing a superstar player. It's really the long term when you really see the problems with not having a star player out on the court. So at least in a 1 or 2 game scenario, you can probably be okay. And then Phoenix is playing good this year, surprisingly good this year. But still, they're still not like a top team. They're not the Denver Nuggets or Oklahoma City Thunder. So it's not beyond the possibilities that the Rockets can win this game. And Golden State has been a disappointment. They've been hovering around 500 all year, but it's still Golden State. But at the same time, this is not the same Golden State team you even faced last season. So the Rockets can still win these 2 games. They still have enough talent, but it's going to come down to, are they going to be able to play faster? Are they going to be able to get up more threes? And are they going to be able to play a different type of defense to where they can still switch and still be able to, not have any defensive mistakes, sort of like they did against Denver at the end of the game that cost them the game. So we'll kind of see how it plays out. At the end of the day, you hope everything's all right with Kevin Durant and his family. That's like the most important thing. But we'll see how it plays out on the court. Like I said, the Rockets will be on the road for the next 2 against Golden State and Phoenix. As usual, I always appreciate the support. We are continuing to build the channel. We're at 6,500 subscribers. We want to keep building it up and definitely hopefully get to 10,000 by the end of this season. And as I said, I appreciate the support. Everybody that's already subscribed. If you're new to the channel, welcome in. As you see, we kind of do a little bit of everything on this channel. So definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And let me know down in the comments, what do you think the Rockets are going to be able to do in the next 2 games? You think they can come away with 2 wins even without Kevin Durant? Let me know down in the comments. And make sure you check out the next episode of Rocket Fuel Podcast.